Hi, Richard the coughlan666. In the last couple of weeks I have done two videos in particular, one of which sadly is not currently up, that without doubt were two of the most controversial and provocative videos I've ever done on this channel. One of them was called Muslim Demographics versus Reality, in which I went through piece by piece debunking a piece of right-wing Christian propaganda about how Muslims are basically taking over and white people will cease to exist by this time next Tuesday. And the other one was called I Will Not Be Another Terrified Fool, where I went through the most sort of important and principled information that is needed to know about the BNP and Nick Griffin to some lobotomised remedial class level amoeba called the Propaganda Buster. Having had a couple of weeks to reflect now since those videos were posted, I'd like to sort of do a stock take and give you a sort of feedback on how I feel. First of all, I was uniquely surprised about how well the Muslim demographics video was received. However, I was sadly proven right that there were a significant and rather paranoid and incredibly irrational group of free-thinking atheists who seem to think that just because they still believe that the Islamification of Europe was happening, that justified the video. Well, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. Why didn't they just present the facts as they are? Because it probably wouldn't have made it as interesting, would it? You know, it wouldn't have made you as fucking paranoid either. I'd like to point something out as well. The Islamification of Europe. There was a time when there were no Jews in this country. Now we have several million Jews. Did anyone else claim that we were going through a Judaistic transmogrification? No. There was a point when gay people, not even that long ago, only a few decades ago, had to keep themselves very quiet because it was actually a crime in this country. And now we know there are lots of millions and millions of gay people, but at no point will we going through a homosexualization of Europe. And there was a point when there were less Sikhs. We didn't go through a Sikhifying period. There was less African immigrants. We didn't go through an Africanitis period. There were less people from Jamaica or the West Indies. We didn't go through a Yemenification, did we? No. We could go through any group. This is a name that has been invented to make you think that Islam is spreading. It's like the blob. And yes, the numbers are going up. And yes, there are Islamic immigrants. So fucking what? I had people saying the most fucking stupid things in those comments. Well, I'm going, look at Islam. It's an imperialistic ideology. Oh, because of course we here in Europe, particularly the British, imperialism is something we would never ever stoop to, is it? That area, this part of the world, the Middle East, has for 1400, 1500 years has had Muslims there all the time. You know that? And bugger all's happen. It's not. And then you've got people saying things like most blacks adopt Islam. You know, Christianity is a white person's religion. Yes, because Jesus, he was your regular Casper the Friendly fucking cracker-ass, cracker-honky bitch, wasn't he? And people's paranoia seeping through. And it was interesting as well to see how many atheists, how many rational free thinkers who use logic and common sense and reason, yeah, suddenly when confronted with the likelihood that there might possibly be a chance that in a few years' time could be a couple of Muslims in this country, you know, suddenly it was interesting to see how quickly they ran. And people kept citing this, or people kept sort of, you know, going after this false dichotomy of the ultimate false dichotomy. Going, well, I'd rather live in a Christian theocracy than a Muslim one. You don't have to live in either. They're not the options of it. That never is going to fucking happen. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know? But when I did the BNP one, that was even more interesting. I have never, in the space of 24 hours of posting that video, and still now, I have never received so many comments from the opposition side, or from the side I'm critiquing, that could not possibly even make a fucking argument up. At least creationists put some effort in. They create fake universities, and create fake science process, and create fake degrees, and give you fake doctors. They make shit up, right? They make an effort, right? If you have any fear that the BNP are in any way a threat, you know, based purely on their debating and reasoning skills, go and read the comment section. I didn't have one single comment that in any way attempted to break down everything I said. Why? Because they couldn't. Right? And I'm not going for this fucking ridiculous argument that people keep saying when you bring up, you know, Nick Griffin doing little things like going to the KKK and you know, giving a speech to them, people go, oh, that was 10 years ago. So fucking what? You know, this is a new logical fallacy. It needs to be called the argument from oh bloody hell, that was years ago, right? It doesn't matter. You can't just go, oh, well, that doesn't count. You said that last Tuesday. No one needs to buy into this shit. And what cracks me up is the people who genuinely feel. Let me put it. People go, oh, there's 1 million people. We've got 1 million people. Yeah, 1 million people out of 62 million in a country, right? So you're almost there, aren't you? Right? In the EU election, the BNP got 2 seats simply by coming 8th. 8th, right? 36% of this country only 36% of this country bothered to go out and vote. Less than fucking 6% of that 36% voted for the BNP. They got the popular vote representation for the BNP was 0.7%. That means for every 100 people in this country, less than 1 of them voted for the BNP. These people have got about as much chance of taking over the country as the Westboro Baptist Church have got of taking over Kansas. Let me ask you a question. How many Conservative Party trolls are there on YouTube? Do you get? How many Liberal Democrat trolls do you get? How many Labour? How many BNP? Oh, thousands. Why? Because like Christian fundamentalists, like conspiracy theories, and like every other fucking insane fucking group that's on the internet, the BNP have found a place here where they can finally hide and cower behind the faceless soccer accounts and just fucking abuse people. And also, again, with a lot of it, not a lot, but few. There were quite a few atheists who, you know, were making excuses for the BNP, who were just basically trying to brush off the subject, change it, and to trying to ignore and just completely and utterly disregard everything I said. And yeah, and I deliberately put that bit at the end of the video where Nick Griffin said we want this to be a white Christian country. White Christian country. It's interesting to see how many atheists are just willing to jump ship there. Because you haven't got the balls, right? You run around on places like YouTube and you fucking sit there, you hide behind your little fucking account posting comments to Christians, calling them deluded and calling them retarded and talking about how ridiculous it is, but as soon as you're confronted with a couple of brown people with some weird rituals and big beards, suddenly you're, oh no, we'll just side with them for now. Wait. You don't deserve, you know, you don't deserve to. You shouldn't have the right to go around laughing at any religious people if you are going for that, because it's pathetic.